Hi, welcome to another episode of A Drink with
Mary.
and Mina. Right, it's too hot to function, but we're here. We'll try and get on as much as we can. Why is this?
Airplane working.
Sorry, with our private plane is just going past because I told my pilot I'm gonna be running late today, so he's gonna come back.
He's basically having a detour.
Yeah.
But I hate that though.
Dude.
You know when on planes like they can't land, and then they do the whole circle again. Only another one is like, oh, the traffic is not right, and then they just take you to another place.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
bro, like I didn't ask for this.
I love the detour actually because I feel like, oh, I have more time on this plane.
No, I get anxious. Like plane, I'm just the in out, like get out.
Oh my god, I absolutely love flying and I absolutely love airports.
Like airports, I love.
Hangout place, right? Nice
I think to me, flying, because it's got to do with heights, right? So I'm just like, as short as I'm here, that's great for me.
Yeah.
That I'd rather take a long flight than sit on the transit ferry. Because if I sit on a transit, that means shopping time, and then you just spend so much money.
The flight was expensive already.
Exactly.
Oh my god. But yeah, so the podcast today will probably be a short one. Although we say that, I think in the past it's always been we're chatterboxes, so it's gonna go probably. But we'll try and keep it short. But the topic today is following on from our last podcast about female orgasm. And I think we probably spoke for a lot of women out there. The responses we've been getting are like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although, like, a lot of the women, they didn't want to comment publicly, because I understand that, because we are in a very hush-hush society. There was a lot of... feedbacks on us personally, DMs or whatever. Yeah. So thank you very much for women who actually felt the same way and then made us look like we're not just speaking for ourselves, for the whole community.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously majority of them, but not like some people might have different experience, you know?
Yeah.
That's always the counteract, but...
And it kind of backs up the idea that a lot of women out there are unfulfilled. Like their needs haven't been fulfilled.
Do you know, like, I'll tell you a story. I literally almost, I really wanted to. Yes, I was at the beginning, like, what I want kind of stage of a vibrator company.
Yeah.
I really wanted to open one.
Ooh.
That was like, I want to make it basically what Love Honey is doing, you know?
Yeah.
Honey, but this was before I discovered Love Honey. So I was just like, oh, why can't I make something? But then I was like, oh, it's already out there.
Why can't I? Because
it's already out there.
It's already.
Well, you know, like sometimes you think of ideas and then it's already done.
Yeah.
But you think you're a super genius. It was one of those moments.
Oh, well. Yeah, at least you thought about it. No, I don't think people would think that far, to be honest. But yeah, I think Mary here did all the hard work for the research for this podcast, especially this episode podcast. She's done a survey basically. It was a very last minute survey as well, so bear in mind that we literally haven't had time to collect a lot of responses, but whatever responses we've got, we will share it with you and probably give our opinion on it. Anna?
Okay. Before we start that off though, we did a quick Google wiki. We went on Wikipedia. Very reliable source, we know, but we found out that 90% of the male, like, because last time I think we gave some few facts, but we weren't actually quite sure. So this is sort of like a backup, I guess. 90% of men, they ejaculate after sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
Whereas women...
The orgasm, basically.
Yeah, the orgasm, yeah. Whereas women, it's only 62% on a heterosexual one. But if you're a lesbian or if you're bi or, like you've got a female partner...
I bet it's high.
That goes up to 80. But... even then, it's not as efficient as men,
Yeah.
So you need to understand us, basically. Just do your work.
Lesbians say that they orgasm... Well, people who used to be heterosexual and used to be in a heterosexual sex relationship and then now are like lesbian, they say that their sex is so much better. Probably because we know our body and we know what to do with it.
I think even with that, I think we are a lot patient as well. Because like, if you want to make a woman come, you need to be very patient and, you know,
patient and man.
Explore with her. Rare. And so men, when they're like horny, they're just literally thinking through the dick. They just want to get in and out, you know? So it's a bit... And like we discussed last podcast, it's a lot about what goes before. Not even just like, you know, foreplay. It's not always have to be physical. It's like a day before, like, how are you messaging each other? Is the flirty being exchanged or not? Because
how you're courting her, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what makes a lot of difference. So pay attention to those parts as well. But these next, I can't stop, Mary. What is this?
So basically, I was hungry, and yesterday we had like a party, and I just needed something to pick me up. My parents got this Cheez-Its, whatever thing is. So basically, if you're in the Nepal, there's a snack called You and Me when we were kids. Like, it's like basically cheese rings on it. Rings you loop it through again, and this literally tastes like that. But I don't know. It's a blue packaging cheesy it or whatever it's called. It's very cheesy, very good, eh? So good.
Can't stop.
Literally.
Podcast, take care of it.
Bye guys. Bye. It's like basically what's this, but only has a bit of sweeter tone to it.
A lot more cheesy powders on it as well.
Anyway,
so
we asked the question. Do you orgasm on a regular, or do you need an external device? Because we've gathered that I need external device, be it with a man or be it with myself, whatever. And then you said like you can do both, you know. So I just wanted to see like if people could do it, or is it just like you don't have the right partner, wrong partner, whatever. And interestingly enough, a lot of women said they don't really orgasm with
without help.
Without help. So one of them said she didn't in the past, but with Oileko new partner that she has, it happens all the time.
I saw that last sentence. I was like, it happens every time. And I'm so, like, ooh.
Go, good on you, girl. And well done to you, mister. For making her reach that levels. But I guess it's about comfort and it's about understanding her body properly as well.
It's also, if you've had sex for a little while, depending on how much effort you make into your sex life, some people just let it go and like do the regular shit and like be done and dusted with. And you know how they say this whole stereotype of being like a married couple type of thing. But also, like Diwash and I, the sex is better now because we communicate with each other. We know who likes what, and if we don't like anything, we just tell each other that we didn't like that, or just basically feedback. Again,
I think it's easier. Post-sex, it's easier when you're couples because you're just spending time with that partner, right? So you have time to get to know their body. Whereas if you're just going like casually or just on the hookup culture, if you don't orgasm through penetrative sex, then I mean that's a bit of like, I'm sorry, Kalke situation, because next time it's just gonna be another person. So you can't really teach a person everything in one night. That's a chore. Like, come on, let's be serious. So I think with couples, it's you obviously have the dip and the high, because that's just how relationships is. Be it sex life or be it just in general. So if you have time to explore, though I think the ladies who come from saying they can't really orgasm via penetrative sex is because maybe, to be fair, they could be like me who doesn't in general, or they could just be like they haven't really had the chance to teach that person because it's just been one-off situations. So never say never. You'll get lucky one day. You just need that one lucky dick and then hold on tight. Hold on tight to it, cuddle it, caress it. But yeah, to be fair, only one male has answered this questionnaire, and then he said yes. Are we surprised?
Kind of, yeah.
Are we surprised here? You know.
This is a man's world, man. Like, this is a man's world.
Honestly, it is. Like, the more I learn about, the more I grow up, I really don't want to grow up.
Oh, sorry, too late.
Too late. Like I had a choice, but you know, like I really don't want to grow up.
That's why this is, such a contrast difference game. Men, it's so easy for them to orgasm. For women, you have to work for it. No,
like imagine. Okay. Okay.
Hang on a sec. One, you have to work for it. Two, if you're working for it and people find out, you get shamed for it.
I guess so.
Sorry, I interrupted because this whole idea just came to me.
No, I personally find it really awkward still. Like, I'll be honest here, no? Last year I was in this like wedding venue, whatever. And then one of my friends was like, oh, why don't you introduce your YouTube channel to this lady again? She's like elderly. Like, she's like my mom age. Not elderly, like my minimum age, like 50s, eh?
This is my recent podcast episode.
Like, I personally don't feel comfortable enough to say this is my podcast to them, get that age demographic. So if you find my podcast and then if you come to me, I'm fine. But I don't feel like I want to go there and say, look, auntie, this is my podcast. Because that sort of like, because she might have an angelic view of her child, the fact that I'm her child age could be like, oh, is my daughter doing that? Like create a lot of unnecessary doubts in her head, eh? And I just find it very uncomfortable, okay? Like, my mom watches my podcast and everything, and sometimes I just wonder, what does she think? Like, she never really says anything, but I just, like, sometimes think, like, I don't know.
I don't mind. It's not about being uncomfortable. I would rather, if that person wants to, sit down and genuinely ask me questions, whether that's like being very judgy.
But they wouldn't, though.
I know, but if they do, I don't mind. I don't feel uncomfortable explaining it. But sometimes, if they come in with the wrong mindset, I feel like it's a waste of my time.
Okay. I guess that
because
too.
They're never gonna, if they're stuck to this whole idea, and if they're not open-minded about change, if they're not, so it's never gonna happen. Okay? Like, you see some of these people live their whole life with one idea, one mindset, and if they want to do that, that's completely their choice. If they're not up to change, like even with hamro parents hamro elderly population ma pani, you will see some parents like who used to be strict but now aren't, because they now know a new way of life. They now have discovered that there are other ideas, other changes as well, and they're because open-minded and respectful about the younger generation's ideas. But the ones who come just for gossip and were genuine about knowing more about this can just fuck off me. It's a chore explaining to them.
I think like those people are just like the people who don't budge in general, okay? Like, I feel like my mom's come a long way, and no one believes that my mom used to be strict, man, okay? Like, you wouldn't believe it, Like, we know how strict she was, but now we're just chilled, and she's grown with time. But obviously, she is very, like, a bit iffy about like sex and talking things like that, She doesn't say sex, she says like physical relationship.
Oh,
I mean, it is true, like whatever she's saying is true, but so she describes it like that. Yeah. So it's hard for them to digest. I mean, to be fair, all parents could, like, if I had a child, I wouldn't want to know if she's having sex or not. Like, I mean, you kind of get the hint, but you won't know her details, integrity. That's too much. I'm like, ugh. As long as it's safe, I don't care. I know. But, I know, like, you don't want to know the nitty-gritty.
Mother, I've advised I'm not gonna name who, but somebody who's like younger. My child's age. They've come to me about how sex should feel like, because they have just started having sex, and I've always advised them about what to do, what not to do. I even, to the point where I said, oh, if you want to put a pillow underneath so that you're a bit elevated, that helps you. And I also told them, like, if you're not wet enough, the sex is going to be painful. Sex should never be painful. Like, because I always wished I had that kind of guidance from somebody who I looked up.
Yeah. I get it.
Or somebody else, at least somebody else, like friends, anybody else who would have said to me, then I wouldn't have wasted all of my years on bad sex.
I feel like if someone ever comes to me for advice, I'm always an open book. Like, I'm coming out here to my friends as well who've never had sex before, like at, almost like my age or older. I've always told them what you said as well. And I thought there's something about me and my, I don't know, like the idea of my parents are having sex. Obviously, I get it. Like, I wasn't born without it. But it's just something like, bleh, I don't need to know. I have that awkwardness in me. I'm just like, I really don't need to know. But it's just down to you talking about it. I'm down as well. But I'm not going to force it on her because I want to talk about it, because that's just not right.
Yeah. I think parents, I've never had the situation where I had to discuss sex with them. But with somebody who's my daughter's age, who's come to me for advice and felt comfortable enough to talk to me about it, we had a very respectful but very detailed conversation about.
I guess it says a lot about your relationship with that person as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, she wouldn't come to you, she or he wouldn't come to you just
it also, I feel like it also depends very much on if they came to me and were a bit uncomfortable about asking in the first place, how I respond to it as well. It will say a lot on, how sometimes people come to you for help and it will depend on whether you feel bad or not, depending on how they respond. So I think I just, laid it out there like it is and not even made a big fuss about it. And I think that probably took off the whole idea or the whole intimidation about asking for such advice.
Yeah.
And I think that helps a lot with younger generation. But, always up for it. If anybody wants to come to me and have a respectful conversation about sex tips and everything, you can always approach us.
I mean, she sounds like she's good with young kids. Obviously, I'm good with adults, my age or older, even better. But I've talked to a lot of my friends who've been who's lost their virginity and all in all, and they were just like, they felt very the pressure of the families get because you're, as a South Asian woman, you're just always said you have to save it for your marriage. It's just been sort of drilled in your head. I don't know how much they did to you, but they definitely did to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they're just big or something, you have to be konya, whatever BS. So,
drilled into me so much that, sorry, I'm just I need to stop eating. Drilled into me so much that I was so naive when my first boyfriend told me that Nepalese girls were having sex. I was shocked. I was like, I don't know why I had this whole image of Nepali girls just waiting until marriage to have sex. But turns out everybody around me was just doing it, while I was just like, oh, so people are not virgin anymore? What is this? But I used to be super geek anyway. So I guess something has to do with that as well.
I don't know. I feel like you were just not exposed to that side of people.
Probably.
Yeah, because you were not, that was not your point of interest.
I was exposed to books.
I guess. Textbooks, not storybooks. There are two types of books in Nepal.
Dirty magazines.
Yeah, textbooks and storybooks. Library Magoira, if you read a novel or something, suddenly you're not studious enough, but if your academic performance is right, then you're a bookworm. And bro, give me a break.
Come back to orgasm.
Coming back to orgasm. So we're talking about funny sex stories. Okay, let me just read the mail because it's just short and sweet. You just doze during a blowjob. How did that happen? I mean, you're a man. How did that happen?
What does he say?
Dozed during blowjob.
Dozed.
But then it's the dose that it's not a fall asleep needle. Was it bad? Like, bro, is it really bad? That is quite peak.
I don't know who to feel sorry for the man or for the woman. Yeah, like for the man, like it's so easy for you to orgasm, and blowjob is one of the good ways to orgasm, but you fell asleep because it was so bad or you didn't have the stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
And for the woman, how bad were you giving a blowjob that you made the man fall asleep?
Exactly. Farah, he could be very tired as well. Like if you're really
could
tired.
Could be super drunk.
Sometimes you're like horny, but you're so tired, you just can't. You know the bulky food or like sleep choose gotten, and you really can't decide.
Mm-hmm.
You know those times that you're just like, I don't know, I want both, but I can only have one. Maybe it was one of those situations. Well, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. It was one of those situations, and let's just protect our sister that her performance wasn't bad, okay? Or it could be another male. Who knows? So one of the ladies said, I can't read it. So funny sex stories. My mom found the dildos and vibrators that my ex-boyfriend got for me, and I panicked and told her the students got them during sex education classes.
Panicked.
Like, if you're Asian, you make things up. This is awkward. Like, why do they even send stuff in sex ed? I think they just give like condoms out and other. Like they don't give anything else.
Would her or his mom had known? But dildo to obvious, na, because it's literally shaped like it. Vibrators that you can kind of.
There are different types of dildos.
Oh.
It's not just all penis shaped.
my lack of information on dildos.
Your lack of information in sex toys in general are very low, miss. I thought you'd do homework on this episode. But from the looks of what she's saying, I think it was like a penis-shaped dildo. Sex ed would have said, girl, that's a good excuse. I remember one of my friends, her brother was smoking, and then her like parents called like Rizzlers again, and then he said it was for an art project. At this point, I mean, if they smoke, you're doomed, you know. But if they didn't smoke, then this is
my friend, whose parents were so strict that they would not even let her color her hair.
Oh.
So, her dad actually, not her mom. So every time her dad would be on tour to another country, she would color her hair, right?
And then
the day before he came back, it would go back to black. Okay? Like she would dye it black again, and he would never notice. That kind of person, she smokes. So at this point, this was back years ago, no?
I feel like I know who this friend is. I'm getting the vibe who it is. Yeah.
She was smoking secretly, right in the middle of the night. She thought she was being smart, and she was actually sitting on the windowsill, like one leg hanging off the window, just smoking away. But her dad suddenly opened the weird door, because I think he could smell it. He saw her, and she saw him, and she was like frozen. And then she got a slap right across her face.
Snap.
And the next day, he found her packet of cigarettes, and it was nailed to her front door, like to her door of the room.
What do you say to that? So passive aggressive, man. Nepalese parents are here. The passive aggressive.
I swear to God, if it's either passive aggressiveness or blackmail.
Emotional blackmail.
Bloody hell, man. But yeah, I mean, it's good that she came up with a very good excuse at the last minute.
I'll talk about my one of my embarrassing sex stories. I don't think it's embarrassing, but I guess like everyone knew we were fucking one at that point. So uni house again. Here we go. Last time, what did I say about the shower banana incident?
Yeah.
So basically, obviously, if you know, like if you're sharing accommodation with other people in the same house, and if you're active, then you like do ways to cancel out. Like you play music, whatever. Like don't tell me you haven't done it. And one time, the speaker battery ran out as you're like midway on it. So I wouldn't say it's embarrassing. Okay, it's more of an awkward story. So we were just like, so now we just have to like silence everything out, like zip everything. It's just so awkward, girl. Fuck you, speaker.
Did you think about charging it?
Like you're midway.
Yeah, it's such a usai.
You're midway, like almost closing gear. So if you stop, it's just it's not fun. So that was just weird. So yeah, that happened to me. So that's one of my embarrassing, but then awkwardness. I guess we've all had that before in the past. Have you had any awkward, embarrassing stories?
Awkward though. Can't think of any at this moment. Funny though, about last episode I shared गरिहालेँ no.
Yeah, that's funny.
Awkward though. Awkward त नभनौँ तर I've been stopped because I was about to break somebody's dick.
Girl, what were you? Like a machine? What the fuck?
I was probably drunk.
What the fuck, man?
फेरि drunk भएन भने त त्यस्तो energy आउँदैन नि फेरि. Like I'm like fucking just get on with it नि त. Drunk भयो भने चाहिँ फेरि alter ego निस्किन्छ.
Mina with a H, Tina. So apparently Tina likes riding, Mina doesn't.
Mina does not have the energy to. She's old now. Tina is like that Forever 21 that comes out.
Tina is like Bokare sex explorer woman.
That's why my boyfriend always whenever he wants to have sex or he wants to increase his chances of having sex with me or getting me in the mood, he always have a glass of something. He would come with like, honey, would you like?
Man knows.
Get me tipsy and you're in for a ride.
Oh my days. That's what she said. Diva side knows. That's probably why your sex life is getting better. Because the pharmacist has the solution for it. So it's not the fact that it's getting better. It's the fact that he needs who to feed. Not Mina, but Tina. I feel like Diva side is just nailed the mastership here. I love it.
After all that, we sit down and have post-sex feedback and all that. And last one, it's alcohol.
It's alcohol. It's that simple, guys. Because some people, especially men, they don't really seem to get hard after they have that alcohol.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink. What the
मेरो पनि खाऊ तिमी.
I don't know. I feel like you needed more.
Oh my god.
I absolutely love it. Okay, let's go. Let's crack on with the questions, shall we? Tell us about your funny, embarrassing toy story.
Toy Story, as if like we're talking about the movie's Toy Story.
A toy story. Okay, let's start with the guy again because the answers are just like long. It says, didn't know what a ring was for dick.
Cock ring.
Maybe like cock ring. Okay.
Oh. If you don't know now, you know.
You know.
Boys, I think men, you guys should definitely try cock ring. Not for yourself. I guess it will do something to you. I don't know what it does to you.
Apparently, it helps them last longer.
Ah.
So that was the feedback that I got in the past. So apparently, it helps them last longer.
Might be because it regulates. Regulates the flow.
So it makes you helps you last longer, which is a plus, I guess. Like because to guys, that's like a big reward, I guess. And it's pleasurable for your women as well, while it's for you. So cock ring is definitely a bye-bye.
Yeah.
But now you've got like cock rings and so much variety, okay?
Right?
But it's just like basic one now. You got ribbed, you got the long tongue, you got like the speedy, you got cock ring modes. Like it's mad out there. You need to explore.
Discovery land.
You really need to go. Okay? Like, there's no stopping. It's just the world is your oyster, literally. Oyster. If you get it, you get it. Okay, let's go crack on with the females then. I charged my vibrator before I went to sleep, and in the morning I completely forgot about it and went to work. When I came back home, I saw the vibrator on my bed on charge. The thing I had left was on the windowsill.
I think you read the last sentence wrong. The thing is, I had left it on the windowsill. So somebody got to it and moved it from the windowsill to bed.
I love
basically.
it.
Hopefully not the parents.
I mean,
who else would?
Who would come to your room,
Sibling?
move things? Sibling, parents.
But parents are the first culprit that comes to mind when things get moved in your room.
Yeah.
Especially
Asian parents, they just think they're good. I feel like we never grow up for them and they don't understand personal space at all. So
personal space, yeah. And you know what I hate about... So basically my mom is usually bored at home, right? Uh-huh. I think she thinks she does us a favor by cleaning our room. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I'm a messy person. Mm-hmm. I know. But I know exactly where my things are.
Chaotic mess, yeah.
Yeah, mess. So I know exactly where I threw my stuff and I'll pick it from there. So when somebody cleans my room, I get disoriented. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot find things in my room. And I have to keep asking my mom, like, where's my stuff? Where's this? And I have to explain to her what that is. And then she goes, it's because you don't clean your room. Safa gare pa tha huncha. And I'm like, Safa nagarera tha huncha malai, because I know exactly where I left things. No, it's because you came in and moved it. One time it got to a point where I had to literally, I was telling her to stop while I was in the room and she was cleaning it furiously. Hey?
Yeah.
I lost it, grabbed her from the back, carried her outside the room, shut the door on her.
I used to have that problems with my dad a lot, because he's got OCD. So
I still remember that incident where you came and he was like, what the hell is wrong with this man? And I was like, what? And then apparently he grabbed all your empty bottles and your packages and everything and then put it inside my duvet cover. No.
Yeah, he used to be that passive aggressive to like fucking level 1000. So toxic. Yeah. So he put all the crisp packets and bottles of that was in my room, and then rather than chuck it in the bin, he just put it in the duvet, okay? Because he thought she's not gonna clean her room right, okay? Like, bro, like, I haven't got a day off. I go to college 5 days a week, work 2 days a week. When do I have the time to actually spend time in my room, Mana? For the past so many years in my life, I've just been crashing at my own house, okay? Because you really don't have time, Mana.
Yeah.
And they have day off because they don't have education to go to Nita. And like, I get it, like, you like to stay clean, but you can do the rest of the house, but don't do it to my room. I know.
And the thing with our parents is that their job is like, once you get out of job, they don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
No. Hamro is like, when we go to study, when we go to work, we come back and there's still some leftover work.
Yeah, and then you're always trying to excel yourself and you learn about things, unlearn about the things you were taught.
Yeah.
I know, like, it's
heavy
trauma in here. I'm like, but bro, the boost then on the. Oh my god.
हामी त दुख नपाएको जेनेरेसन हो नि त साथी.
हामीहरूले
दुखै बुझ्दैन हामीले.
I get it. We didn't get physical labor like they have, like they describe it. But mentally, bro, God, we're carrying baggage that they had plus hamro baggage.
Yeah. Oh, this is what
like,
infuriates me. I sometimes think that they're jealous. So they brought us to this country so that we could have more comfortable life than they had, no? But somehow
we owe it.
We owe it to them. Plus, somehow I think it's kind of like a little of jealousy as well, that we have it easier than they have, you know. And I'm like, I'm your fucking child. You should have like unconditional love for me. Like, why did you bring me to this
world? But then, having said that, they had it easier than their parents as well, Nita. So why aren't they talking about that?
It's like a cycle that gets passed on.
So they basically, they're dysfunctional as fuck. You know? So they had their parents got trauma, but then they never got healed. Okay? So they were just like, okay, let me just pass this on to these little shits. So if we don't work on that, we're gonna be the same chain of cycle, okay? Because passive aggressiveness, okay? Like our generation, we have that.
Oh God!
Like we, especially not South Asian people, we have the passive aggressiveness. That's like literally, you know, like even though we don't try, like we have it. Okay, the alter ego comes out. So if you don't work on that, our children are gonna have to deal with that. Okay?
I know.
So it's very crucial for us to yet again go to therapy, not just because you have an issue. Or similar, like I told my friend, okay, I was like, I went therapy one day, okay, and then that friend was like, oh, you were so hurt that you went to therapy type of bro. Okay, by bro I mean it's a gender neutral thing for me. Hey, it's not a male or female. So I was like, bro, when I was hurting, I had no time to think about therapy. Okay?
Yeah.
Now me going to therapy now is like I'm trying to better myself. Yeah. So be a better version of Mary. So I can deal with shits like you. Exactly. So don't come at me saying you hurting therapy going on. Fuck that, man. Anyways.
You don't have to be hurt to go to therapy. Exactly. Though.
I said to one of my friends, prevention is always better than cure. So we all know this. So we did hand washing, whatever, to prevent COVID. So your therapy could be prevention before things escalate, Nita. Yeah. So resonate gonna, deflate gonna. Therapy is basically that. Okay? But we tend to think therapy is cure. It's never a cure.
It should not be.
It's never a cure.
It shouldn't have to come to that, because it's sad that it went that way.
Exactly.
You know? Like therapy is a way of self-discovery, is a way of being self-aware. And whether that's before trauma or after trauma, that's not completely up to the society to decide. If you want therapy, you go for therapy.
Yeah.
Even if you want to chat with someone and probably get some positive feedback so that you can do better at your job, better at your life, you know, whatever. Like, this is the whole. There's a whole stigma around therapy, which is like a completely different topic and completely different podcast episode, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So let's move on with the current thing. We just keep running out of things. I think we are just like very woke people. Okay?
This episode will be short.
I'm a cult world master. But okay, let's move on to the embarrassing toy story. So this lady just said window seal how the parents thing, and one of my friends, okay, so this is a similar story, okay. So, she had a pleasurable night, whatever. So she left
by herself.
Yeah, because we are in an Asian household and we don't bring boys home, man. And whatever, and then she used a vibrator and then literally left on her bed, okay. I know, and then again, Asian parents. I don't like without permission. Who asked? Come into your room. On bed, mara here. It's a like she literally like under the pillow or whatever. So they couldn't really see. I know, but like when she come back from work or whatever, her vibrator was literally talk. Puja, like literally talk. So the first thing when she walked in was her vibrator on the bed. Okay? On the fucked up one.
When you entered, was the vibrator making eye contact with you?
Apparently so. Apparently that was her case. And she was like, what the fuck just happened? Okay? And no questions were asked. And ever since then, it's just been like, fuck it, type of, because we've already seen, so what else is there to see?
Oh my god. Bless her, man. Like, that's, I think, probably one of the worst thing that can happen, because like, how do you go to your parents, be like, who cleaned my room? Why did you clean it?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, you can't even ask. Usually you're like, don't clean my room, I'll clean it myself. Sati Savitri wasn't it?
Just like, that's when you take the traits from your parents, I guess. Like, just don't talk
Feign ignorance.
Just don't talk about it and just ignore that actually really happened. But oh my god, it's just hilarious, man. I mean, there has been like just a few incidents to a few of my friends, but I actually can't remember quite properly, so I don't think I should say half stories at all. But it's hilarious. So the moral of the story is us living in home with parents is just difficult.
Discovering like, sex and discovering pleasures by yourself is so much harder when you're in an Asian household living with their parents.
With no space.
One, they don't talk about it. Two, even if you try and discover it, you get caught. All these extra steps that you have to take that's not found in the...
It's like, this just made me feel, right? Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. This is our, like, I get it, like, they had a physical load or at their day and age. We've got the mental load, okay? Like, we are here in the UK trying to adjust, trying to combine our Asian roots to the westernized route.
Yeah.
Trying to sort of meet in the middle, hybrid. No, identity crisis, bro. I'm like, what's an identity crisis? They're literally to us like...
They know exactly what they are. They are not going to change. They're more confident than we are at what they are, no?
Exactly. They're just like more yoganko, like obviously
proud,
loud and proud. So when I went to one of these events, okay, I'll just tell you a little story on that. So this was like my first time coming to the UK, and then apparently my dad's from Lomzung, and then but bear in mind, like me, my sister, my mum, we've never been to Lomzung, right? And then he was just like, Lomzung's a Pajima, you have to just get to know each other. And I was just like, why do I need to go? And then anyway, it was the first time in the UK. Yeah. So we went, and then this uncle, I don't know who the fuck you are, but he said to me, Nani timo ghar gaon kahan ho? And I said, Lomzung. And what gaon? And I really didn't know, because I've never been told.
Wait, isn't Lomzung gaon itself?
No, so Lomzung is a district. It's a district. So he was like, what gaon in Lomzung is your house? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, Mom babli sikai na? Like first thing, I was just like, no. And then he goes like, kun school ma timi padeko? And I was like, oh, I did my schooling in Nepal. And then he goes, this is his expression, UK ni chindena rahecha, gaon pani chindena rahecha, ke garcha life ma? Like, so the fact that
your life can't move forward because you don't know where you're from.
No, I know where I'm from. I'm from Kathmandu.
Yeah.
I was born and bred there. I know Kathmandu better than any other place.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm from. So since when is it like, just because me not knowing where my Geography. Ancestors who I've never met was from, that how does that denote that I'm going somewhere in life or not? Yeah. That's just so ridiculous. And I was just like, you know what, this is the end of. And I hated the fact that I addressed this to my dad and he just ignored it. And I was just like, you can't even back your daughter up. Like, what are you doing to me, Zay?
Because he probably agrees with it. He probably agrees.
I mean, just educate us then if you really agree with that, no? Like, it's just like saying how Nepali bolde na inaru, like, and then educate the child then. How are you expecting them to speak in Nepalese if they never did?
Mother, like, this one time, basically one of my best friend's dad. So my best friend at that time was having a very rough time, and she got drunk, and to the point where she was puking at the back of her car. So I, like a responsible friend, drove her car all the way to her house. This is before I had a license to drive.
Yeah.
Okay? Drove all the way to her house, dropped her at the front door so that she could be safe, because obviously I couldn't bring her home.
Yeah.
So that she could be safe, her car could be safe, and I walked home. This was in the middle of the night. Next day, or the week after, her dad has the audacity to talk to my dad, saying, oh, we need to speak to our daughters about drinking and they shouldn't be drinking. I got so furious. Like, my parents, I think one thing that I've always established with my parents is the boundary.
Yeah.
And I straight up told my dad, if he has something to say about me, he can come to me straight, because I was the person whose behavior that was what he didn't like.
Yeah, what upset
this has
him really,
nothing to do with how you have brought me up. I literally said this to, and I think sometimes it depends on how you speak to your parents, because this could have easily gone two ways. Okay, one, I would have said to my dad, I would have snapped off and be like, oh, I will do whatever I want to do in my life. Or the path that I chose, and I said to him, this has nothing to do with how you brought me up. If he has something to say to me, he does not have to come through you. He can come to me straight.
Oh no, because
I'm an adult.
There's a third option too. Just keep quiet and stay grounded.
Fuck no, I'm never taking that route.
You know, like
I mean, a lot of people do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like a lot of women, they especially do. Okay? They would never really speak ill. But with the alcohol terms, my family never had a problem. Obviously, my mom still says, Roxy, because she's just like bored in the air and like Roxy, no. But my dad is so bad. He goes around telling his friends, okay, my daughter can outdo your son on drinking, whatever. Who the fuck says that? This is probably why
I think... as a proud thing or as like a shaming you thing?
No, he's just like, bring the competition on type work. Yeah? And I'm like, bro, this is why there's no one coming at my door asking for my hand right now. Because you've been saying shit. My dad is like, he is a funny character, I'm not gonna lie. He's a mixture of like the very passive aggressiveness and then just like braggy little shit. Yeah.
Anyway, I think we could do as I said, as we talk on, we come up with these ideas that we could expand on further. I feel like we should do an episode on annoying behaviors of Asian parents.
Yeah.
Secondly, what was the other one that we said?
What did we say?
Okay, we had the other one.
Oh, mental health and therapy.
Therapy, the stigma attached to therapy.
Therapy. Oh, God.
So much better.
Very passionate about it. But, okay, I guess you will hear more of these on the next one. So stay tuned. I think we've like talked so much about it that we actually didn't really talk about kids. A female orgasms part, and we're running out of time. So let's say this is like part 2 of female orgasms and part 1 of Asian parenting. Let's name it that. Let's name the title that. So definitely you can relate to this podcast at this point. Say, I guess that's us signing off then.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll get out of this hot box.
It is really hot. And hydrate yourself, people.
Excuse me. We'll get out of this hot box so that we can go to the gym. Like, I don't know which one's worse.
I'm really thinking gym right now. But have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.